Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Brothers channel. Cedric here in Antwerp, and today we're gonna talk about another beer, another Belgian beer this time, and on top of that a revival of a historical beer. I am talking about Gruut from Gentse. Way back when animals could still speak and Belgium wasn't Belgium yet, there was of course already beer. Beer predates our country. I am talking about the period between the 9th and the 15th or 16th century. We were called Brabant, and the beer was pretty different from what we know today as well. The main differences were that yeast wasn't actually known as a separate component, so technically everything fermented spontaneously, and hops weren't actually used yet. They were known, they weren't really used in beer yet. Now, back then, brewers used more grains in their beer and brewed a slightly higher ABV to preserve the beer a bit longer. And they added a mixture of herbs and spices. On one hand, for the flavors, of course, and on the other hand, because of their alleged medicinal characteristics. These mixtures varied depending on the location and the period, but it's been said that mainly gagel or gale, rosemary, laurel and some resin were used. Other sources mention anise, juniper berries, caraway, cumin, fennel, and in a single instance some sage. I like sage, so. Somewhere in the middle of that period, around 1350, the Germans started using hops in their beer. This way they could cut back on the grain bill, and the beer stayed drinkable for longer because of the hops' bacteriostatic character. And for a few hundred years, the hoppy beers and Gruut as it was called, were brewed side by side, but eventually in the 15th century hop won and Gruut beer disappeared, only to be revived in the late 1900s and early 2000s by a handful of breweries in Belgium, Holland and Germany. Now, one of those breweries is the Gentse Stadsbrouwerij, or the Ghent city brewery Gruut. Founded in 2009 by Annick de Splenter, descendant of the de Splenter family that used to own brewery Riva, for example, and I believe she's also a cousin of Mieke de Splenter of Hofterdolen as well. But the name already reveals their intentions, namely brewing the historical Gruut beer and refining it into a modern-day product. Today they have 5 variants: the classic blonde, a brown, a white beer, a gluten-free one, the 9% ABV Inferno, and the amber, which we are having today. Now, amber beer is not a style in itself. It gets its name by the color it has, and it doesn't necessarily say anything about the flavor. Amber beer is a group of several styles with the pale ale and the special Belge as their front runners. And the color is of course obtained by using caramel malts, toasted malts, all kinds of colored malts. In this case we are talking about a typical 6.5% ABV pale ale brewed according to English tradition with 4 kinds of malts and no added sugar at all. And of course their signature Gruut mix of herbs and spices. Now, I have seen Gruut experiment with rosemary, sage, fennel, laurel, but I can't tell you what's in it exactly because I don't know either, and the mere presence of some herbs in workshops doesn't tell us that it's in the beer altogether. What I can tell you is that because this is Gruut beer, no hops are used. Now, before we go over to the tasting, let's talk about the design of the packaging. Gruut used to have a rather dark and busy label that reminded me of a Grimbergen bottle, but a while ago, as many breweries and brands have, they underwent a redesign, and I must say with great success. They really simplified their label. They actually went for black and gray with just some colored accents like amber, and the logo is in orange, green bottle cap. Every style, every kind of Gruut beer has its own color, just like many other breweries. And they went for a black and white stylized label with actually a part of Ghent drawn on it. And I do believe I see it Gravesteen in the back there. Now, the label doesn't tell us much, but what I do see on the label is that I lied to you 5 minutes ago. I said this is a 6.5% ABV. That is the classic Gruut blonde, of course. This is the 5.9% ABV. What else does this label tell us? I kind of like this because it's very simple and it has nothing too much on there. This is a strong amber ale with a fruity caramel finish. Let's see about that. A secret blend of herbs and spices. Ooh, mystery. Brewed on the left bank of the River Leie in Ghent. Now, I have been told that they brew small batches in-house and the large batches are brewed at the Brabander, used to be called Pavik. But the bottle tells us that it is been brewed in the Gruut Stadsbrouwerij in Ghent, so I'm gonna believe that. Ingredients: water, barley malt, herbs and yeast, so no hops at all on there. Let's see where this takes us. Now, unfortunately, I really thought I had a Gruut glass, but either I gave it away or I lost it somewhere, or I actually never had one. Either way, the Gruut glass is a large white flute glass, so this will do. Oh. We have a runner. That's for after this video. That is indeed a very, very nice dark amber color. Actually leaning towards ruby red. This is a very dark amber. This actually reminds me of caramel or double beer, for example. Some bubbling going on there as well. Very nice. Some brownish beige foam, very thick foam, very creamy foam. I like that. This reminds me of the nitrogen foam that is on Guinness, for example. But yeah, absolutely lovely. This is a mixed density foam. We get some medium size bubbles on top and in the middle, and in the bottom some very tiny bubbles are added. The scent is quite thin. But indeed, herbal, caramelly. Even though there are no added sugars in this beer, I do get a bit of molasses, a bit of brown sugar, but that will be from the malts, of course. Now, if I have to guess, I would say some rosemary, some sage is in there, but that might be my imagination. Maybe some juniper. A bit resiny, also a bit bready. So even though the vapor, the scent, the fragrance is thin, it is still quite complex, which is a surprise to me. So let's see what the taste gives. Cheers. Ooh, quite special indeed. If I would be blind tasting this, I would never tell that this is an amber beer. I would say this is a dark ale, not going off the color, of course, but purely the taste. I still get some molasses, but I do get some very interesting flavors in there as well. First off, it has a rather thin but very pleasant mouthfeel. It is highly carbonated. I do get some roasty flavors in there, but I also get some herbal palate, a bit floral even. And also I do believe that, yeah, the brewery is located in the Rembert Dodoensdreef, so the street where the brewery is located is named after a botanic expert from way back in the days. So again, floral. It is very soft. Yeah, how should I say this? I still get a bit of rosemary, a bit of sage. I also get a bit of fennel, a tiny hint of licorice in there. Yeah. And I even get the idea of a bit of thyme. But that goes to show that dark beers, whether they're dark amber or just dark ales, go hand in hand with herbs and spices. And I'm actually very curious to pair this beer with, for example, something with a tiny spicy pepper in there, or even add some pepper in here. Now it does taste a bit peppery as well, but then I mean black pepper. And for the pairing, I mean some chili peppers, for example. Yeah, absolutely lovely. I would not say this is going to be my number one, but it is a very welcome change. And I would actually maybe put this in the range of Special Belge, because it's a bit drier than you would expect. The initial taste was a bit sweet, but the aftertaste is very nice and dry, very crisp. I'm not gonna say it's a thirst quencher because it's quite neutral on that area, but nonetheless, I would pit this against Palm, for example. Maybe a double Palm, which is a tiny hint sweeter, but nonetheless, very, very, very nice and pleasant beer. A very welcome change. Now, I am using this in tastings in the near future, so I am very curious as what the customers are gonna think about this. Yeah, so let's score it. I would have to give this a decent 3.5. It's a complex beer. It's a very nice story also. I am very sensitive to good stories. You might have noticed that with the Monte Cristo back in the day. But it has a nice backstory, it has a nice taste, it has a beautiful color, it has a lovely smell, however thin it is. And I just love the experimental character of this beer. So I am very, very eager to try out their other beers. And yeah, the family does have brewing in their genes. So I'm curious to see what else they are going to fabricate. As usual, if you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up, let me know that in the comments. Anything you like, I'll try to answer as soon as I can. If you want to see more, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and you'll get a notification whenever I upload something, which for now is still every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 6 p.m. And yeah, if you want to support this channel, spread the love, share a video. Also, if you are in Belgium or Holland, I am picking up my old job of organizing tastings, tailor-made tastings for pretty much anyone, starting from 8 people. So yeah, hit me up. You can send me a mail at cheers@belgianbeerbrothers.com, and we'll see where this goes. Cheers, you guys.